Welcome back everyone, it's Eric from Rare Candy. Here today we are back on the channel taking a look at another Unbroken Bonds deck profile. And today we're actually going to be taking a look at the new Vikavolt, which has actually been kind of a pleasant surprise for me so far. I did not expect this deck to be as good as it has been performing out of the games I've been testing with it so far. But this is going to be the same list that was featured in our recent testing rounds video. So if you guys do want to see how this deck looks in action, I will be sure to have a link down below in the description for you guys to check out. Another thing too, if you guys are unfamiliar with those testing rounds videos, they usually feature kind of our early unrefined list that we used to start testing with. So that means there might be a few things in here we can potentially tweak or improve upon, just something to kind of keep in mind as we do go through this deck profile. So as I said, Vikavolt, this is going to be a new Stage 2 Pokemon. Did not expect this to be that good since unfortunately tag teams have helped kind of kill off some of the viability of Stage 2s lately. But this one's actually been performing pretty well. So let's take a look at this deck and see how it's going to look. So up first we have 4 copies of Grubbin, and specifically this is going to be the new one from Unbroken Bonds. A very conscious decision to play this one. So even though it does have 10 less HP than the old one, I think the attack on this is so good that there's no way I would want to play the 70 HP one. Or at least not in 4 counts. I think at the very least I would heavily favor counts of this as opposed to the 70 HP. So you could maybe go for like a 2-2 split or like a 3-1 split, but I definitely want at the very least 2 of these in here. So for just a single color synergy, you search your deck for 2 lightning Pokemon, put them into your hand. And that's really good because if we open up with a rare candy, but no evolutions, we can just use Electro Signal, grab our Vikavolt for the next turn. Also, of course, we can grab a Charjabug as well, which is very important to the strategy of this deck. So we can grab Vikavolt Charjabug and be ready to go. We also run Dedenne Gx in here, so if we have a bad hand, we can bail ourselves out with that too. So this has been an incredible attack, and it's really been good out of the games I've been playing with this. Definitely would not go back to the 70 HP one after getting some testing in with this thing. So up next, though, we do have 4 copies of Charjabug. And believe it or not, this is a card we will hopefully never have to evolve into. We are trying not to, at least. But it has this ability, if this Pokemon's in your hand, you can attach it to one of your Vikavolt or Vikavolt GXs as a special energy, and it provides 2 lightning energies to those Pokemon. So this is a double lightning energy for Vikavolt, which is very interesting, but very, very cool. And it's really the card that makes this entire deck work. If this card did not exist, this Vikavolt would not be good whatsoever. So this is a very, very powerful ability, and as I understand it, this does not count as your attachment for turn. So you can even go like attach Charjabug, and still have an attachment for turn. So we can power up Vikavolts out of nowhere thanks to this thing, and it's been really good. And even though we don't want to evolve into it, we basically always have an out to evolving a Grubbin if we have to. So that's pretty nice as well if you are in a bad spot where like maybe your Grubbin is being threatened to be picked off on the next turn, and that extra 20 HP helps out. Maybe if you're going against like some spread decks or something like that, sometimes the extra HP from Charjabug can be nice as well. But like I said, hopefully we never have to evolve into it. And then we have 4 copies of the new Vikavolt as well. None of the old Sun and Moon one, no Vikavolt GX. We're going all in on this guy here. 150 HP Stage 2, going to be weak to fighting, but if we do have a Stadium in play, we will eliminate our fighting weakness, which is, it's okay. I don't expect fighting to be like super popular in the new format once Unbroken Bonds gets thrown into the mix, but nevertheless, it is kind of nice at the least. But it just has 1 singular attack here for 3 lightning and a colorless. You're going to be able to do 120, and then if you discard all energy attached to Vikavolt, you're going to do 100 more. So you can do 220 with this 1 prize Pokemon, and you can power it up in a single turn as well. That's actually pretty impressive, I have to say, because if we do run through the math on some of the other modifiers that it has, we can, just with like a Choice Band and Electro Power, we can actually knock out a lot of the tag teams as well. Just because Choice Band's going to bump you up to 250, then Electro Power from there is going to be 280. So this guy can knock out anything in the format with relative ease. So you guys can probably see the whole combo we're going for here. We're going to just try to discard our energy and recycle these Charjabugs every turn with Vikavolt to just keep taking 1-hit knockouts. So it's still even kind of half decent against some of the non-GX decks. You can knock out Zapdos 1 hit. Even with Baby Blacephalon, you can just Electro Power knock one out. But definitely Vikavolt is going to shine most when it is going against Pokemon GX. Up next from there, guys, we have 2 copies of Jirachi. Of course, for that Stellar Wish ability, it's going to be great at helping us set up and grabbing rare candies. Also, maybe grabbing supporters, Electro Powers, whatever it might be that we need. But of course, look at the top 5 cards of our deck. pick a trainer card we find there, put it into our hand, then Jirachi is asleep. This card has definitely proven its worth over the past several months. That team up has been legal, and it's definitely a big help to both evolution decks like we're seeing and some of the big basic decks that have been so popular with this card as well. Up next, we have one copy of Dedenne Gx. This is a new card we're getting from Unbroken Bonds. I'm pretty happy about. So it has an ability whenever you bench Dedenne from your hand, you can discard your hand, draw 6. So there's going to be turns where, we might have our Candy Vikavolt, but we might not have, our second Charjabug that we need to finish powering up Vikavolt. We might not have the Electro power we need to take a knockout. So Dedenne is going to be great at bailing our hand out and allowing us to dig a little bit deeper on certain turns. You could opt to play something like Marshadow if you want to just kind of continue the whole non-GX route as far as like how many prizes you give up. But I find that with like a stage 2 deck, Marshadow kind of hurts a lot of the time more than it helps. So I just prefer like the raw draw power that Dedenne is going to offer here. Also will briefly point out the GX attack on Dedenne can get it off the field for a lightning colorless. This 50, and you can paralyze your opponent's active and return Dedenne to your hand. So we do play Lightning Energy, we do play Cocoa Prism, Thunder Mountains. We do have ways of actually getting this thing off the field, or even if like we don't have all the energy needed to attack with Vikavolt, sometimes you can actually just attack with Dedenne, which I've done a few times, and just go for like a 2-shot, try to paralyze your opponent and buy yourself a turn to finish setting up your stage 2 combo. And then from there, the last Pokemon in the list is just going to be one copy of Cocoa Prism Star, of course, for that Dance of the Ancients ability. We can throw it into the Lost Zone and get 2 Lightning Energy from our discard to 2 different Pokemon on our field. So this is cool. Just helps us coast along, make sure we can always be able to attack with whoever we need to. Also allows us to maybe more easily attack with a Dedenne if we want to get off the field as well. Just kind of a pretty much a staple at this point for Lightning decks. So that's going to be it for the Pokemon line, guys. We're not playing Lele's or anything like that, though I do think since you are playing the 60 HP Grubbin, you could potentially opt for a list that plays like a Lele's and Elms and things like that, but I'm preferring not to go that route if I don't have to. I think Elm seems a little bit slow here, though I do think there is a consideration for that if you guys want to try that out. So going on to our supporters, we have 3 copies of Lily and 3 copies of Cynthia. These are going to be our primary forms of draw support in the deck. Of course, Lily, draw until we have 6 or 8 if it's our first turn, and Cynthia is just a nice shuffle and draw 6. And then from there, we also have 3 copies of Volkner as well. So since we are playing a stage 2 deck, I really like Volkner here too because we can just search out rare candy and a lightning energy and immediately get our Vikavolts powered up here. Or, between Jirachi, between the cards we already have in hand, sometimes we might be able to grab an Electro Power, or, really it's just there for completing combos. That's the gist of Volkner. But especially since we are at stage 2, I really do like Volkner at ensuring that we can grab rare candies here. Also, there's other things we can do too, like since we play the Dedenne and we just need like energy and play that turn, we can even turn this Volkner into a draw supporter where we Volkner attach the lightning we get and then Dedenne discarding our hand and drawing more cards, which I've done several times as well. So just a pretty nice card in these lightning decks. And from there, we have 3 copies of Guzma that choose what we want to take knockouts on. Pretty self-explanatory stuff there, guys. Going on to the rest of the deck, we have 4 copies of Rescue Stretcher. I did not expect to ever play a deck that needed 4 Rescue Stretcher, but here we are. So we're playing 4 of this just because we want to recycle Charjabugs every turn. So if we are going against GX decks where we have to discard our energy, we do need ways at getting those Charjabugs back. But it's also just pretty cool. We always have outs to ensuring that we never run out of our attackers and things like that. So not only is it great at getting back our energies, so to speak, but it's also great just ensuring we can always keep Pokemon in play whenever they get knocked out, which is really fantastic. So I like the 4 Rescue Stretcher. You could even consider playing some copies of Lure Ball in here as well if you want. Like if the 4 somehow is not doing it for you. I did think about like 1 Lure Ball potentially, but so far the 4 Stretcher seems to be getting the job done most of the time. So we have 4 copies of Rare Candy as well. We are a stage 2 deck, and especially in this deck where we're planning on not using Charjabug, we of course need those Rare Candies to skip that middle evolution and go straight into our Vikavolts. And it's great because we can grab these off Jirachis, off Volkners, etc. So we have 4 copies of Electro Power here. This is going to be, of course, one of our damage modifiers to ensure Vikavolt can take 1-hit knockouts Like I kind of mentioned earlier here, if we have a choice band, an electro power, or just 2 electro powers, we're going to be hitting for 180, I'm sorry, 280, which can knock out basically anything in the format outside of like a Magikarp Whale or GX. But, you know, we can even do that since we do play enough modifiers to do so. So, of course, this is just going to help us knock out anything that we need to here. We also, of course, have 4 copies of Ultra Ball, pretty much a staple in most decks at this point. You guys are, I'm sure, familiar with this. We have 3 copies of Nest Ball as well. So since we are not playing like an Elm-based engine here, we do want to play some copies of Nest Ball. I think at the very least 3 is going to be necessary here. I would like a 4th, but I did have to cut one at some point when building this list. But at the very least, we need 3 Nest Ball if we are not going to be playing Elm. But if you do want to switch to the Elm engine, you can probably cut these all together though. So up next, we have 2 copies of a Skateboard here. Of course, this is going to be for our Jirachis, just to give them a little bit more mobility and allow us to, you know, retreat after we use that Stellar Wish ability. From there, we have 1 copy of Choice Band. That's going to be our only other tool in the list. We're only playing the 1 Choice Band. This was another card that I had as a 2 count originally, but did have to cut to make room for other stuff. So we did have to go down to just 1, but we still have 5 modifiers in total. We also play a Shrine in this list as well, so that is actually kind of a 6th modifier in a way as well. So we still have no shortage of ways to increase our damage output. And then from there, guys, we just have 1 copy of Switch to round out those item cards here. So even though we do play the 2 Jirachis, sometimes we will need a switch. Like let's say we have Vikavolt active, we discard all of our energy, and we don't really have a way to get powered back up. We can switch into Jirachi sometimes and start Stellar Wishing again and getting reset up. Also, of course, if we play against decks that play Absol, which are going to kind of heavily disrupt our Jirachis being able to freely retreat, Switch is nice in those situations. This was another card I had two of originally, but had to cut down to 1 just to make room for other stuff. But this is definitely, I think, a pretty high priority on my list of other additions is a 2nd Switch. But going on to our stadiums, we just have 2 in this list. We're going to play 1 Shrine, like I said, and then 1 copy of Thunder Mountain as well. Thunder Mountain's going to be nice. It basically means we can just attack with a single Charjabug. So we can go attach Charjabug, attach Lightning for turn, and that way we can save our other Charjabugs for future Vikavolts as well. Shrine also pretty good as well. It might look weird having Shrine in addition to Dedenne, but Dedenne only has 160 HP as it is. So if they're going to Guzma, they can probably take a knockout on it anyways, given how strong everything is. So the Shrine damage, I don't think is going to make a big difference when Dedenne is already such an easy target to be knocked out. I think it's pretty irrelevant most of the time. So yeah, like I said, just the 2 stadiums. I'm not sure how important activating Vikavolt's ability is going to be, you know, in this new format. So maybe you can even potentially cut Shrine. I do think that's an option. Just having counter stadiums, though, doesn't seem too bad. I probably like this better than the 2nd Choice Band, though, just because it fulfills a similar role and is a counter stadium at the same time. So for now, it's been okay. That's going to be all of the trainer cards, guys. Going on to the rest of the deck, we just have 3, 6, 7 copies of Lightning Energy to round out the list. Doesn't seem like a whole lot, and it really isn't. That's because you do have to remember we have our Charjabugs to be able to, you know, reuse those. Those are going to be our primary forms of getting energy into play. But nevertheless, we do still need some copies of Lightning Energy. We can get them out of the discard with Tapu Koko. We can grab them with Volkners. You know, we can attach them to Vikavolt and maybe not have to use our Charjabugs or like use multiple Charjabugs on a single Vikavolt. That's going to be nice a lot of the time as well. But guys, that's going to be our initial list here. I do have to say, like I mentioned earlier, this deck has actually been a very pleasant surprise. I've really been enjoying this a lot. This kind of feels to me like the Charizard of Unbroken Bonds, whereas Charizard was kind of the Stage 2 deck that came out and Team Up that was, you know, actually miraculously pretty good, despite it being released in a set that was so dominated by a very powerful basic Pokemon. And this feels very similarly. Like, it's actually a pretty decent deck out of the games I've played. You can one-shot tag teams, which is going to really, I think, enable Vikavolt to potentially see some degree of play. It kind of feels like a tier 2 deck maybe at this point, but nevertheless, it still feels like it does have some viability. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this deck profile. Hope you did enjoy. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy the content. And also, of course, if you can support this channel by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up some merch from our online store, rarecandytcg.com, including the playmat that you did see in this video, that would be greatly appreciated. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.